Welcome back to Have Roots Will Travel. My name is Lisa Elvin Staltari, and I'm a genealogist and a passionate traveler. In the last several years, I've been focusing my energies and my videos on telling the stories of les filles du roi and les filles mariées, just to try to get to know them and really understand each and every one of them. And so far, we're really moving right along with our episodes. And I want to thank all of you for your support. It really means the world to me. Here's a few ways you can help by the first three keep you in the know, which are subscribe, like, and notify. All that helps my logarithms and all that good stuff. The next are bigger ways of supporting the channel, either through the platform of Coffee or Patreon, which are external financial platforms where you can donate. And you can also donate at PayPal on my website, which, by the way, you can see previous episodes of as well. And there's an index. So have a look at that while you're there. So with that being said, let's get to know our filles mariées of this episode. Let's talk a little bit about les filles mariées, the marriageable girls. This was a group of ladies who came to New France between 1634 and 1662. They are truly the bravest of the brave because they came when New France was really nothing more than an outpost, if you will. By the end of it, it was not as bad as it was in the 1630s and 40s, but certainly they were very unusual women because they came one at a time, a couple at a time. It was not a program like the filles du roi that came later, but it was a way to try to populate the country. And we can see that there were about 262 filles mariées over a 28-year period. Obviously, this works out to about 10 a year. That's not enough to make a country because not everybody had, 15 children. So they were truly amazing women, and today's episode, number 77, is Marie-Anne Hildy, and she comes to us as a viewer request, but also she is the great-grandmother of the famous Taylor Swift. So just if you happen to have this ancestry, you are also related to Taylor Swift. Marie-Anne was born in 1635 in Angers, France. Her parents were René Hardy and René Noget. Now, Angers is part of the Pays de la Loire region, which I've circled in the upper left. And the département, or county, is Maine-et-Loire. Angers is a very large city of about 157,000 people as of 2021. Angers has a rich and extraordinary history, not only with the Plantagenet dynasty, but also as a place where education and philosophy bloom, particularly during the reign of King René of Anjou, who was born in Angers at the castle. The history of the church, La Trinité, begins about 1028. The church was rebuilt at the end of the 12th, but its bell tower dates only from the 16th. The building survived the revolution without damage, but it did undergo numerous transformations in the 19th century. And it has been classified as a historic monument since 1840. The castle, which you see above you, called Château d'Angers, is probably the castle I need to see so far from all the ones we have seen. This castle was originally built by the Romans as a fortress. A castle was built here in the 9th century and became an important part of the protection against invaders. The English used it during their rule in the 12th century, and then it was captured and used by the French. By the 13th century, it was expanded to the size it now occupies. This castle has had so many uses throughout the centuries. It was used as a church, a military academy, and even in the World War II, where it was used as an armory. Today, there are tours for this castle, and it houses the largest collection of medieval tapestries in the world. So isn't that something? Just have to see it. So Marie-Anne would come to New France in 1662. We do not know the circumstances. We only know that this is when she appears in New France. groom that she selected and he selected her, his name, Pierre Mellet, and he was born in 1632 in Saint-Colombe, France. His parents were Jean Mellet and Guillemette Roulet. Now, he is from the region of France known as Brittany, and inside of that region, it is Ille-et-Vilaine is the département. There are about 2,900, slightly under 3,000 people that live in the small community of Saint-Colombe. It's largely an agricultural town. Now, the church comes from the Saint Colombe, who came in the years between 580 and 590, and he was accompanied by several monks, and he crossed the English Channel and landed either here or at another beach a few hundred meters further to the west. 3 miles down the road, we have Saint Malo, which is home to Jacques Cartier's birthplace and what looks to be a wonderful museum. So, I mean, this is just kind of like very important as a pilgrimage in terms of French-Canadian history. So Pierre and Marianne were married October 23rd, 1662, and so their life began. Now they would settle in Montreal, which, as many of you know, started off as Ville Marie by the founder, Paul de Chaumedy, Sœur de Maisonneuve, and was essentially a missionary center. It was founded in May of 1642, and by 1653 it was on the verge of extinction when Chaumedy took the bold move of going back to France and saying, come on, I need 100 of you to kind of take a chance. And that Grand Recru became what saved Montreal, because trust me, it wasn't going. Part of the reason that it had such a hard time of it is, as you know, or you might not know, Montreal is an island. And it could be in any part. There was no place to hide. And they didn't have any kind of militia until 1665 when the Gagne regiment came. So by 1663, they actually created their own militia, and the local inhabitants were part of those troops. So this is how they protected themselves. So ironically, what was one of the worst parts of Montreal, the fact that it was an island and so vulnerable, ultimately became its strength. And as so many island towns, as in New York, also end up becoming very, very strong because you can arrive at that port anywhere. So that is part of its strength. Now, in the 1666 census, we have Pierre and Marie and their small daughter, Marie. Now, in 1667 census, we have Pierre, we have Marianne, Geneviève. We don't know where Marie went. Anne, who is 15 months. They have 3 beasts, which means 3 cattle, and 15 alpavalar, about 12 to 13 acres of land. End up having 6 children. Marie Geneviève, see, first she's called Marie, then she's called Geneviève. It's the same person. She married Jean Le Gras and had 11 children, only 3 who left descendants. Anne would marry Louis Ducharme and have 6 children, 4 of whom would make it to adulthood. She then married Louis Brejean and had 7 children, 4 of whom made it to adulthood. René married Marie Lecueilleur and had 11 children, 7 of whom made it to adulthood. Jean became an engagé out west, so we don't know anything about this line. This is where DNA may prove helpful in the future. Louis married Jeanne Brunet and had 7 children, 4 of whom made it to adulthood. And Pierre would marry Madeleine Tunet and have 6 children, 2 of whom made it to adulthood. In the 1681 census, we find Pierre, who is now 60 years of age, his wife Anne, and their daughter 16, René, Jean, Louis, Pierre. They have 1 gun. They have 10 batakons, so 10 horned animals, either goats or bulls, 20 alpavalar, so they have about, I would say, 16 to 18 acres of land. Pierre would pass away sometime after 1699. He was at the very least 68 years of age. He and Marianne would have been married 37 years. Marianne would survive him for another 16 years. She would die in 1716 at the remarkable age of 81. And she would leave us, as of 1729, with 182 descendants who have obviously multiplied. Hermalet gets a wonderful little biography in our French-Canadian Ancestors, volume 26. And you can access it easily at our free French-Canadian Ancestors Facebook page, where you will be able to download a brief biographical sketch of it, unless you have this edition or can find this edition. They're extremely rare. Make sure that I introduce you to two fabulous books. The first one is a French book. You have to learn French to read it, but it is really amazing. Les Filles du Roi, Pioneers of Montreal, produced by the Société d'Histoire des Filles du Roi. Amazing book. And then we have Susan McNally's incredible book about the women of Ville-Marie, Pioneers of 17th Century Montreal. You need to read this book. It's on Amazon. I provided you with the links. Please have a look at it. I love telling this story. I mean, yes, she left us with quite a number of descendants, 182. But the link to Taylor Swift, you never know where these lines will take you. So we want to bless the memory of this incredible lady and the fact that she was truly a pioneer in Montreal. This is very, very important to understand the contribution. Remember that Montreal was not, what it is now. It was Ville-Marie. So to come to this place and really contribute was an amazing feat. So thank you so much, Marianne. And with that being said, I want to say thank you to my patrons and supporters. You really are amazing. Thank you for supporting me and all the notes and the comments, all of that. And as well, some of you are patrons. So I appreciate your support on a monetary level. Thank you so much. With that being said, I want to say thank you, and I will see you on the next episode of Les Filles Mariées. Until then, au revoir.